another month's gone by.
I know. I know.
And
Can you? Where is it? Where did that month go? I blinked, Sue, and missed it.
I went to bed, and here it is again. I get up in the morning, blink, and go to bed, and then I sleep and blink, and then I get up in the morning, and it all happens again. Incredible.
I want to ask you one question before we
Sure.
introduce ourselves. Do you herkle durkle in the mornings?
Oh, I don't know what that is,
Who knows
Maddie.
what herkle? If you're Scottish, you'll know what herkle durkle is. Herkle durkle is you wake up in the morning, you look out and you think, nah, I don't think so. Make a cup of coffee, make yourself a slice of toast, and go back to bed with a good book. Okay, and
Oh,
that's called herkle
right.
durkling. And I discovered this about a year ago. This word, I just love it. It's so sort of playful, isn't it? Herkle durkle. So that's what we
No,
should all
I
do.
don't.
You
I
do
get
now.
I get up. Well, I do go back sometimes on at weekends. I go back for a cup of tea. But I'm kind of itching to get on with the day, especially now. Now it's
Yeah.
spring, and I've got my greenhouse and everything's growing. So I'm really up for doing that. And my weekends are so precious. So anyway, by the way, hello everyone.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Sorry.
We just got launched in there. So we are the wise wild women, or attempting to be, or trying to be. Um, and it's smashing to be back with you all, especially because it's since this month, the last that over this month that Maddie and I have not been speaking to each other on Zoom. Yes, things have changed hugely. And there's a lot of fear and trepidation in the zeitgeist now, understandably. And we just thought we would talk a little bit about how to manage that better.
Yes, because I think, Sue, we have that individual, people have their individual concerns, let's call it that,
Yeah.
fears, anxiety, stress, whatever, which undermines your energy. But also there is the collective out there, and not just the collective in your town,
Yeah.
in your county, in your country. It's global, and that's a very, very strong energy. And you know what I pick up a lot on, or I hear a lot on, is people feel so hopeless. We
Yeah.
haven't got. Nobody seems to have it. We don't want to get too much into politics, but
No.
where are the strong leaders? And I
Mm.
think if we had strong leaders in whatever country of the
Yes.
world, there is, okay, the world's a challenging place now, but we've got someone who truly cares about us and is going to guide us. And I think that what I'm picking up is that that's lacking. So there's a lot of a layer of hopelessness and
And helplessness.
helplessness and hopeless. I can't do
Yes.
anything. I can't.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, I think that's what we're dealing with at the
Yeah.
moment. I don't know what the stars are
No, I
doing.
agree. We don't have a Churchill. We really
No,
don't. And that's just the way it is. But I think just to flag up, helplessness and hopelessness and horror are the three
yeah,
key ingredients for trauma. So I think we have to be very careful about getting locked into this. I was talking to somebody this morning, and he's saying that he doesn't know how to stop becoming overwhelmed by of terror, actually. And I think, we're not being helped enough to find ways where we can manage this. So let's share some of our little tricks that we've got up our sleeves.
well, I'm going to say something which might shock you, but I think, yeah, no one's going to come and help you. We've got to help ourselves. And
Yeah.
so I'm really for that feeling of empowerment, individual empowerment in what can you do. So I'm going
Mm,
to share with you some of the things I do, and you can call me a bit of a Pollyanna, but I try always not, I don't watch the media too much because this is another thing. So you don't know what to believe anymore.
no, no,
The
no, no.
traditional news editors, you think, well, I'm not sure if I believe what you're saying now. Is this a spin or what's going on? So
Yeah.
that's a layer of it. So I think the one thing I try and do is to get myself energetically balanced, as we all know, but to talk myself down. So if
Yeah.
I find myself, something comes up on the phone or you do catch something on the news and you can feel The minute you feel, or you feel
Yeah.
helpless, or you feel terror, or you feel whatever it is, you think, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's
Stop. Yeah.
breathe and
Mm,
ground and come down. Now,
mm.
there's something you can do. I don't think I've shared this, Sue, before with people, but if I have, forgive me. You just have to put up with it again, won't you? But this is, I am very lazy, okay, in my energy work. And so what I will do is I work vibrationally. I will take a photograph of myself and I will sign it. I've got it. I'm working on
Mm,
something at the
mm.
moment. Okay. So here I got a bit of lower back pain. So I printed off a photograph of myself. I wrote my name, but write it in lower caps, not capitals. I've put here are the acupressure points, which I'm using. Okay. And this is a little affirmation. You can make whatever affirmation you want. So you could, for example, say, I am now safe, secure, and supported. All will be well. I am
Yeah.
strong and I'm resilient and I can cope with whatever happens. And you can write that on there. Now, I
Yeah.
did four of these, Sue. Okay. One is over there on my table and it has, as it's for my lower back, the essential oil mix, which I douse to to for the back, some crystals, some frankincense, and everything's on there, and it's all vibrational, and that is working on me. Okay,
Mm,
24/7,
mm,
quietly there in the background.
mm.
I have one of these in my come in my house, one of these on my kitchen cabinet in front of where I make my teas and everything. So when I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, oh, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
just make my
Yeah.
affirmation. I've got one in the bathroom. So, when I go
Mm,
in front of the mirror, I can say, oh, yeah, I've got to do that. So
mm,
I'm constantly bringing myself back to a place of grounded optimism, if you want.
mm.
Not Pollyanna, I wouldn't go as far as that.
Yeah.
Now, if all of us did that,
It
it
would be hugely
lessens that
helpful.
collective fear and trauma and
Yeah.
anxiety, which it just grows, it grows, it grows, it
Yeah.
grows. And this is a way of saying, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
calm it
I mean,
down.
this is why I have all is well and all manner of things shall be well.
Yes,
I always have that. It's just very simple, and I just have it with me. And in fact, so many clients see that and feel comforted because
it
it
is.
takes you out of your that sort of that sharpness of fear. And
Yes,
Julian in Norwich was a wise old bird. She saw a few things in her
yes.
time, and her life was also threatened. She felt her life was being threatened, and she came up with these wonderful
Mm,
sayings. So anything that can lift you up or lift you out of of this, and also, I always say to people is stop looking down, look up. Remember, we're part of the universe.
yes, absolutely. And go to the trees, go to
Yes,
nature.
yes,
you know and what you said then is that sharpness of you
yes.
hear something, you hear awful things, and even if you doubt if they're true, they're still awful. It's vibrational, it has an impact on your
Mm,
energy field. Now the other so two things there. So
mm,
that sharpness, if you can have a saying like that, or I am safe, I am secure, I'm supported, it takes the sharpness away and stops that negative
yeah.
fear, anxiety, whatever, embedding itself in
Mm.
you and becoming a habit. Okay.
Yeah, and
That,
I also think that when you're not on it, fear makes you feel very chaotic. So
yes.
your energy is all over the shop. It
And
isn't focused in. And I think
absolutely.
that's what we need to do is focus the energy and, as you say, ground yourself, go to the
Ground
tree,
yourself in.
put your
And
feet on the ground. Yeah.
we also have human beings, animals, trees, everything has a biofield and an aura around it. And I think that that is now more important, Sue, than
Yeah,
ever
I
before, I
agree.
would venture to say, not
Yeah.
just with all the EMFs and everything going on, but this collective energy, this warmongering, this
Mm,
news overdose. Our brains weren't meant to take in so much. And so it
mm,
is working with your aura. That is your energetic immunity. If
mm,
anything can come at you, if you've got a
mm.
strong auric biofield, whatever you want to call it, The Chinese call it the Wei Qi, the protective energy. We call it aura, some call it biofield. And if you think Christians saw it, the Christian artists, the halo, ancient
Yes,
Egyptians would
exactly.
have this field around, special
Yeah.
individuals. And a
Yeah.
great way is just to fluff it up all around you,
Mm,
especially at the front and especially at the back. That's where things
yeah.
come in. And you just say, I am safe, secure, I'm supported, my field is strong. And you can push your field out a bit, play with it,
Mm.
get
I think
curious with it.
the other thing is do yourself a favor and stop scrolling.
Oh, God, yes, yes,
You
of
know,
course.
really, stop
Mm,
watching the news. Be aware.
I don't.
Obviously, I just read, I don't watch anything now. I just read the headlines, and that's enough for me to know what's going on. But but no, I don't scroll at all. I have, and also the other thing, I actually just was saying this the other day in a little video I did, is find something that gives you joy. Whether you're an
Oh,
artist or you love playing music or you love going to walks or you love your dog or you love your kids, it doesn't matter what it is.
yes.
Find something at this moment that gives you joy because that's the most important thing. That's what you'll remember.
Yeah. It's the joy. And also, you're absolutely right about the screen time. I heard a really disturbing thing a couple of days ago about um, children as young as 2 are using screens. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're now getting into a number of years research, and they're finding as these children come up to teenagehood, their brains are not developing because they're not having to problem solve. The neural pathways aren't being made, and
Yeah.
everything is done on AI and screens, and they're
Yeah.
looking at this all the time. They're looking down all the time at this, and if
Yeah.
I would say if you could have a screen-free curfew daily, weekly, monthly, it's the healthiest thing you can do. And I try sometimes to not have the television on, not the computer on. I will not look at my phone. I do social media for
Mm,
my work, but that's
mm,
all I do it for.
mm,
And I'm happier and healthier for it,
mm.
because I used to be a right little news addict, watch all the
Yes,
debating
I think
programs.
you
And
have
I think,
we have to
like,
look at our addictive traits. We're all addictive to something, but
oh,
if you find that you are being very addictive
scrolling.
to social media and endlessly watching the news or listening to the news, just know that's an addiction, and you have to cold turkey it, but find
Yes,
another addiction, like going for a walk or find or going to
yeah.
grow plants in the
But
greenhouse, whatever it is to
a
you,
healthy addiction.
a healthy addiction. But the other thing I just wanted to mention is Daniel Goleman has wrote a fantastic book about the impact that social media is having on children's brains. So he's one of the leading lights in emotional intelligence. That was his first book, but I can't remember the name of this book. But I've got it. Actually, I've got it upstairs, and it's really worth educating yourself about the
Mm,
impact and the research
shocking.
that is being done. It's scary.
It's shocking. I mean, for our age group, we were brought up, and everything was very natural, everything. But it's the generations that's
Yes,
coming.
yes.
The day it is quite shocking,
Yeah, yeah. So it's just about
the
educating
findings.
yourself as well.
Yeah.
And I would also educate yourself about trauma. Um, when you're exposed, even if it's third person trauma, that you're not actually physically there, but you're witnessing trauma. I mean, some of the photographs that are coming back from, well, all over the Middle East are just horrendous.
Mm.
Just cities being obliterated. Now, whether that's true or not, we
Is
don't
it?
know. And I think it's very, as you were saying, Maddie, it's really don't make stories up. We don't know the whole truth that is going on. And so if I'm going to listen to the news, I listen to Al Jazeera because I trust them more than I do any other news feed. And I'm very careful about what I listen to on YouTube.
It's really, really interesting. I read something else the other day, and they said, could it be that with AI, everything is becoming so false that the younger generation now, or us as well, will begin to believe nothing
Yeah,
because you think, well, is that AI generated? Is that
yeah.
really Maddie King talking there? Or is it some avatar, whatever they call it, you know? And that people will turn away.
Mm.
That's another option. Some people will
Yes,
turn away
yes.
because in the end, I mean, I'm getting to the stage where I don't trust anything I see on screen anymore, let
No.
alone here. So could that get, as AI gets even better, you could think, well, I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
And therefore, one returns, certainly I'm finding this, to okay, what's my reality here on the island? You know, it's a lovely day, and this is the reality I can connect to with all my senses, and I know is true. And ultimately, Sue, I think that's all we can do. We can come
Yeah,
back to that.
yeah,
We
yeah.
can't go out and save the world, but we can send out good vibrations, as the Beach Boys said, you know. But you know, seriously, if we do all have that positive, if we're sending out
Yeah.
positivity rather than fear, it's got to have an impact on those around
Well, it
us.
feeds the
Period.
zeitgeist, and the zeitgeist is full of crap at the moment. So
Mm.
I feel it's my job every day to feed it with something that isn't crap, that is conscious and aware.
Yeah.
And I think that's our job. It is, I mean, I've always felt that, is to hold the light
Yes.
as things get pretty dark around humanity. But
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what gives me hope, Maddie, and I really work with this, is I've been expecting this time to come since the 80s. My first teacher was Stuart Wilde, and he told
Mm.
us this
Oh
time would
yes,
come.
sure.
Yeah, and the hope
Yeah.
prophecies have said the same. Casey prophecies have said the same. Dolores Cannon prophecies have said the
Oh
same.
well,
And you
yes.
go back in time, the main calendar ran out in 2000, so we knew something was coming. So all these wonderful prophecies have foretold this time of a massive choice for us all
Yes.
to make. So I'm actually relieved it's finally here.
Finally here. And we
That's
chose
what
to
I
be
came
here.
here for.
We chose to be here,
We,
you know.
I believe that. Yes, I
And
do.
a lot of those people, Stuart and Dolores and all that, you know, I really admire and respect. And I'm trying to get my mind round to this whole concept of dimensionally we're separating and we're in the process. It
Yeah,
started and we're in the middle of the separation that, you know, a certain vibrational quality will have the new world, new earth, and others who can't don't who choose not to have that
yeah.
vibration will have their world, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, okay, like if I'm really honest with you, you know, my mind cannot really truthfully comprehend the universe because it's infinity. You know,
It
I'm no
is.
I'm thinking of Buzz Lightyear. That's made me laugh. You know, it's so our brains can't cope with that. And also, my brain is finding it very hard to really understand this concept of this split
Mm.
which is happening. What?
Well, I can really highly recommend Dolores Cannon's books.
Yeah,
They are mad.
I
Vidia
know she's.
Frazier is another
I
one.
love her.
She's written a lot about this time. Mad as a March frog, but absolutely,
Yeah,
if you're into this and you're wanting information, I'd recommend her as well. So there's a lot around, but again,
yeah.
you've got to be very careful
Careful.
about where you get drawn into. And I do think there's going to be a lot of false prophets knocking about. I do. And I think there again, it's about coming in to trust your intuition. Does
Mm,
this feel true to me? And you might get swept down a rabbit hole, totally possible at this time of life, absolutely, in the world. But just know it could be yet another rabbit hole. And
absolutely.
it's astrologically certainly Neptune in Aries, because Neptune's just moved into Aries, and it's knocking around about 0 degrees Aries, which is very potent, a point in the astrological chart. Um, there's a lot of chaos and a lot of chaos, and I think this is going to go on for quite a while.
I think
Don't
so.
expect this to suddenly resolve, because it probably, astrologically, it probably isn't going to, but it is about building resilience.
Mm.
And that's what we can do for ourselves, is actually consciously, as you were saying, Maddie, these little techniques is about how do
Yes,
we build resilience,
exactly.
and how do we help our children also build resilience, because they're scared too.
It is, it very much so. And what you were saying there is about intuition. Follow
Yeah.
your intuition. And intuition is much more readily available if you can get that stillness within. If you're not still, if you don't have that serenity, that
Yeah.
calmness, that tranquility, that stillness, whatever you want to call it within, very hard to have an intuitive hit that you rely on. So
Yeah. Yeah.
breathing brings you back, walking in nature, touching a tree, whatever brings you back to stillness. And do you know what? You don't even have to get om and bliss about it. You know, if you watch a Carry On film or something that just makes you laugh, you know,
Yes.
you were talking before, Sue,
Yeah.
about joy. That's
Yeah.
another way of bringing it in. Knitting a difficult pattern, planting,
Yeah.
getting your fingers in the earth, all these simple everyday things. You don't have to sit and meditate for hours. You know, it brings you back to you and that
Mm.
stillness. And then you hear the whispers, because whether we do a sort of vibrational split or whatever happens, we, a lot of the prophecies say, once you are through it, it will be a better world.
Yes, we've
You
got
know,
to get through it. And I do say, just be very careful when you hear things like we're all going to ascend into
oh,
into I don't know, planet five or whatever it's called. Just be careful,
yes,
because in my experience of working through very difficult things, it's one day at a time
it
until we
is.
do get through. And we will. And I do feel like the more that you can work with your local community and make sure you've got a friend locally. I have a really good friend locally, and we've agreed to support each other. She's around the corner, and that's lovely. I feel really
Yes,
supported by that. And if the balloon goes up, I know she and I will be together, and
yes,
that's lovely. And it's little tiny things like that. And it really is dig for victory. It is taking us back to that community
it
spirit that
is.
we had
It
in World
is.
War II. It is.
And I think that's well, I think there will there's always yin and yang, there's always black and white, there's always good and bad. And I think if we can
Yes.
expect to plug in to the positive side of that, as
Yeah.
you say, the community, the support, we're in this
Yes.
together, it simplifies our lives in a way, because suddenly our lives have become so complex with materialistic things, layers and layers of such things.
Yeah.
And suddenly maybe a bit of simplicity brings us back to each other, which
And that, I think that's a great place to stop. Keep it simple, stupid, isn't it? It's that. It
keep
was the
it simple,
marketing thing,
sweetheart.
wasn't it? Keep it simple,
Yeah,
stupid.
in advertising, kiss. I say, no, it's not stupid. It's keep it simple, sweetheart.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple, sweetheart.
Yeah. Oh my goodness
Yeah.
me. Those day advertising days. Yes,
So, to everyone out there, we're right with you. We
we
haven't
really
got
are.
answers for anything, but we're here, and we'll continue to be here, and we'll continue to show up every month, just to maybe
Yeah.
something that we say will give you some support.
And I hope maybe this will photograph of
Yeah.
yourself, write your name on it, and write on it what you want, because
Yeah.
everything carries a vibration. I feel resilient. I feel strong. I feel optimistic. I feel safe. I feel secure, supported, whatever you want. Write it on there. Put
Yeah.
it
And
down and say, okay, in love and light work, whatever you want. And then forget about it. Okay. Because if you set it with intention, it'll be working very subtly in your field all the time. It may not cure all the problems of the world, but it is there supporting you.
yeah, it's
Yeah, just feel it.
homeopathy, isn't it? It's
It is. It
homeopathy for
really
the
is.
soul.
And put a flower on it, because flower represents nature and balance. It's these little things that are so practical and simple. And you may think, well, she's a bit crazy saying that. Well, just humor me and do it, because the very worst it will do is absolutely nothing, but it will. It will
It'll
work.
do something.
It will
It'll
do something.
remind you of you. And you can
Yeah,
do this with your kids, with your relationship, with your home, with your family. So it's a lovely exercise to do, Maddie. Thanks so much for that.
yeah.
Okie dokie. So we'll be seeing you on the other side of, well, in April.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. And I would say to everyone, April might be quite a difficult month just to put down that foundation stone. But it doesn't mean to say it's going to be horrendous. But it is about just as much as you can building your resilience at the moment. I think
mm.
once we're through April into May and June, things will start to ease up a bit.
Oh, that's good to know, Sue.
Yeah, there
We're
is an
lucky
end
to
to
have
it.
you, your wisdom.
All right, so see you all next time.
Yeah,
Lots of love. And as I said, we're right with you.
we really are.
Bye for now.